Welcome back, and for those just tuning in, we just finished up our game with the Necron all-character build versus Imperial Agents in a final score. Necrons 78 to an Imperial Agents 50.
Yep. Didn't expect anything else. Managed to get a 50. I guess that's par for the course.
So, where should we begin? Let's talk about the Imperial Agents first, and how you felt.
I don't want to.
Got to do it, man. Got to do it, because there was one thing that you mentioned after the game where you said everything's got a drawback.
GW looked at the book and just it's everything. I've complained about it a lot, but they just made everything as bad as they could. They made everything worse. They took Death Watch, which are an underperforming army. They took away their data sheets. They took away Oath of Moment. They take away their abilities. They take away all the Space Marine units, and they gave them a bunch of trash units in this book. I mean, there are lots of little trash units you can take. And when I say trash, I don't mean bad. I just mean little 5-6 man squads that cost 50 points that can go do an action, which is good.
Action
you want those.
Yeah,
when I say trash, I don't mean they're bad, but they're the action monkeys, little things that can move around.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that I could deep strike these little 5-man units. They scored me some points. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was nice. But the fact is that damage dealing, I don't have any options. That's it's the Death Watch kill teams. Terminators can do some damage, but they don't have the mobility. They deep strike once. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no uppy downy for them.
Terminators specifically, yeah.
Yeah, they can hit kind of hard when they charge. We have to position them right. But other than that, like the Death Watch kill teams have mobility, but they are just 2 wound toughness 4 Marines. Even with a defensive strat where you give them a 4-up invuln, they're still just going to die to stuff. They do have the mobility, so they can get around and hit hard, but then they just die in response. And there's not like an assortment of Space Marine units backing them up with shooting firepower and that sort of thing. Canis Rex is the only firepower I can really put in this unit, and he died immediately turn 1. Unfortunately, I was surprised by that a little bit, but yeah, he definitely needed those feel no pains from the Imperial Knight detachment. But no, it's just a very frustrating thing to see. Everything had too many restrictions. Like there's a 2 CP strat that allows you to give your unit lance and sustained in combat, which is really good. But then I forgot. I used it on the Silent King trying to hurt him. Forgot that the target also has to be on an objective. So in addition to being 2 CP, it also has another stipulation that it must be on an objective, which means sometimes it's just useless.
Yeah, you have to be in that position. I mean, granted, the game is meant to be fought on an objectives, which I do like a lot of those strats where they do have that cadence of like, oh, this ability is only on objectives and stuff like that. And it's like,
well, if it was 1 CP and you had a restriction being only on objectives, I would understand that.
Fair.
2 CP, dumb, absolutely ludicrous. And again, I had an advantage in this game because my Death Watch were re-rolling all hits. Mm-hmm. Against a non-Xenos army, they're only re-rolling hits of 1s, and their frag cannons and their heavy thunder hammers all hit on 4s, which means they're going to be very inconsistent. So overall, just very frustrating. There are neat little playthings in there. If you like the lore of the Inquisition, obviously I was able to run a legal army that had Sisters and Death Watch and Grey Knights and an Imperial Knight in it. That's so cool. But just nothing works. Like even though they made the Sisters a little bit cheaper, like, for example, a Sister's Immolator, I think, is 115 points in a Sister's Codex. Here it's 100, so it's a little cheaper. It still takes away cover, but without the Miracle Dice support and the support of the detachment. For example, the popular Sister's detachment right now gives them Assault on all guns and +1 strength when they're within 12 inches. And plus you get the Miracle Dice Army rule. Here, they don't really get anything other than the detachment rule, which in this case was +1 to hit on 1 unit, which was I used with the Sisters because the Death Watch were getting their full reroll, so it was kind of handy there. But with multi-meltas and the D6 damage, you need that Miracle Dice to just guarantee the kill when you need it. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely, I don't think the points that they lowered them made enough of a difference to make them useful. Like, I definitely feel like in this army, the Death Watch kill teams are 200 points for a 10-man. It should be like 150, which is how few options you have. You should be able to flood the board with them. You should be able to take 6 squad, 6 10-mans with them.
Are they battle line?
They're battle line, yeah.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, so, but yeah, just because I just don't have damage doing, components. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the Death Watch can slap pretty hard, but then they just immediately disappear afterwards. You're able to just chew through them. So yeah, again, for fluffy, fun stuff, I can't bring myself to keep playing an underpowered list. I did that with Death Watch all through this edition, where once they nerfed us at the beginning of 10th, I played them because I love them. I found some key stuff in there. But like I said, after playing in a bunch of tournaments the last couple months and seeing how much absolute ludicrous power there are in armies like Thousand Sons and Sisters, World Eaters, Tau, the orcs, everything, and then trying to play a book like this, I'm not going to keep playing it because it's just frustrating. You thought a little bit about putting some stuff together to go with your Warlord Titan for fun things. For fun stuff, yeah, it's great if you just like the lore, if you like the fluffy stuff. If you're going to play narrative fun games with your friends, there's a lot of fun stuff in there. There are some fun strats.
Yeah, in the near future, I might look into the Navy for like 1,500 points because the Warlord's 3,500. So to build a detachment that, like you said, is fluffy, just to be built around the Warlord Titan so that I can run a game with the Warlord Titan and then have 1,500 points of thematic units like out of the Imperial Navy. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Like you would love to, for that guy does the damage, and then you have a bunch of units that can do some scoring and things for you. So
they're there to make sure the job gets done. They are
obviously
the
that's just a big fun silly game.
Exactly.
Not anything serious.
Insert Warlord Titan.
Oh yeah, so
legitimate Warlord Titan.
Legitimate.
Gotta throw that out there. That is a legitimate Warlord Titan on my shelf.
Forge World original. So how about all these little Necron dudes running around?
So I do want to first, I did count. I lost 9 characters. So 9 units died. So I have 10 characters left and the Silent King.
So like 12 died or 13 died and you brought 3 of them back?
Oh gosh, there's that too.
Yeah.
The Scorpack Lord came back.
Don't you discount my...
The Overlord came back. The Psychomancer came back. They all died. Except for the Scorpack Lord. Yeah. The Scorpack Lord stuck around. But yeah, there was 2 additional 7 and 11 character deaths throughout this game. This is fun. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of interesting play into it because a lot of your characters are so cheap for how durable they are. They have these Terminator profiles.
Yeah, the Overlords with 2 up, 2 up, toughness 5, 4 up invuln, and -1 damage.
I just keep comparing them to Space Marine characters, where Space Marine characters are typically more points, but just have less damage output. Like you have a Space Marine captain, which can punch kind of hard, but has no shooting whatsoever. He might have a power fist or something, he can kind of slap a little bit, but compared to a lot of these Necron units that just pour out damage. I mean, you shot an Imperial Knight off the table in 1 turn. All 3 Tachyon aerial arrows failed. I did have to use a reroll to
stop one.
Do an invuln save, but and you still were able to shoot them right off the table. The Tumenier is obviously doing 12 damage, which is huge. The mortal wounds doing 6 mortal wounds is huge, and then just chip the rest of the stuff off. But obviously it has more power than I was expecting. Otherwise, I would have stepped Canis out there to shoot at 1 solo Psychomancer.
Psychomancer's getting your head.
I really wanted him to charge that Silent King, shoot away the Mineers, and then just punch him right into orbit. But that didn't happen. It will happen another day.
I'd have to say probably the MVP in this game was the Plasmancers. They just cleared so much and did so much work. I mean, they picked up finishing off vehicles just reliably with the mortal wounds. The damage they did to Canis works. Like they didn't finish off. They took out the sister unit, the Immolator tank, the Rhino, finished off the squad of Death Watch Marines. They did some damage to Terminators, and it was just a constant and the biggest thing was they floated around there, and it was just, you couldn't do anything about them.
I have no long-range shooting of any note, so I just couldn't.
But at the same time, too, if you do, then you're not hitting the Scorpacks.
You moved into the middle, your most durable characters, 4 or 5 of them. So I had to put a lot into killing them. And then 1 just comes back every phase of the CP, and then they just had plenty of time. If I had some amount of better shooting, I could have shot some of them away a little bit better because they didn't really have much of a defensive profile, right? Just 4 up save, no invuln. Yeah. So if I had any kind of decent shooting, but all my shooting is very close range, other than Canis.
Yeah, no, they're just floaters. They're just smite cannons. They're mortal wound cannons. But for how cheap they are, we're looking at like, I think 55, 60, 65 points, somewhere in that 55 to 65 point range.
Yeah.
For them. And they just float around just sapping things. And then get them near the king for reroll 1s. The king rerolling 1s, that was just so much damage. So much damage. So I really do. And if people want to see it, I actually think I need to take this into a real list. After what we've seen right here, like there's a couple of things. One, you said target priority, how much it messed with this. The damage where it shows up. So I would not mind taking this into a real list. And we'll have to do that sometime soon. Not the next one. Next one, we'll see how much I get cleaned up with world leaders. Maybe throw them back on the table. I don't know. Or if someone else puts out a really cool list idea, I don't know. We'll have to discuss it. It'll be a surprise. It'll be even a surprise for us. We won't even know.
We haven't figured it out yet.
We don't even know.
Please,
it's such a surprise.
Suggestions, please.
Yeah, this is a time where we can test some different things and throw some different things on the table. And as I mentioned in my video, every list is crazy till it wins a GT. Is this crazy? What happens when this goes rolling up against some of the top meta picks? You know,
I mean, you're not going to win a GT with this, but I bet you could. I bet you could win an RTT with it.
Maybe I could win a GT.
Says me. I can
win the whole world.
Why are you asking? Says who? Says me. But I know you could either easily roll an RTT with this, just because there's so many different units too that people don't know what they're going to be capable of. I was not expecting some Canis Rex to die immediately. So that's the kind of thing that people probably aren't really going to be prepared for. And like, again, the target priority is so wonky because it takes a lot to kill one of these guys, and it just takes 1 CP from you to pop them back up. And then it half wounds, but then they reanimate in your turn. So they just flip right back to full health. Yeah. Basically. So.
Yeah. I got to get a little better practice with the catacombs. I think I had those out of position. I wasn't able to pop the res orbs this game, but I think I was kind of out of position for those. I had one shot and I thought about it with the Overlord, but I was like, if you don't I didn't expect you to pop the catacomb. Honestly, I expected the catacomb was going to at least make it through to the combat.
Something would have to go right for me at some point in this game.
I thought you were going to kill it in combat.
You killed my Canis Rex. You killed my Evisor before he could do anything. Something would have to go right somewhere. And yes, I was allowed to kill several of your models. It's okay.
No, yeah. I just didn't expect it. I didn't anticipate it. There's plenty of time where we don't anticipate things that are dying. So,
well, again, I did use the army ability to be +1 to hit into them. So the sisters were hitting on 2s with
I wasn't thinking
2
about
twin linked melta shots, and then 3 other melta shots, and I got a free reroll, 1 reroll per game on the sisters with the cherub. So they were able to pop some consistency there. So
that was definitely the nail in the coffin, and that's what caught me off guard. I was like, "Oh, 1 extra. Yep, that's gonna do it."
Yeah, the immolators can surprise you just because they can move quick enough to get their meltas into melta range, and they're twin linked. It's just 1 multi melta, but it's twin linked, so it's 2 shots, rerolling wounds, and once it gets into melta range, it can definitely hurt real bad. So,
but I do like these weird, funky armies that do this stuff that play the game from a weird perspective. So this is very much so my play style of a list of just like. Why? This is not Warhammer, DJ. What are you doing here?
It's Hero Hammer.
This is Hero Hammer. All right. Well, we'll call that a wrap. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.